Hi there, this is Ellie. Welcome to my channel where I explore how photography can help with mental health issues. If you're interested in the topic, sign up for more content. Partially because of the spending sprees that I go through when I'm experiencing a manic phase due to bipolar disorder, and partially because I'm a little spoiled, I'm always after the best that money can buy. At least the best that my budget can buy. The best camera body, the best lenses, the best accessories, the best backpack, you name it. This attitude is also fostered, of course, by the mentality that we have nowadays, according to which newer is always better and fancier is always more desirable and more features always mean higher quality. Recently though, I found myself reviewing this position as I went out on a photo shoot using my vintage lens on my newest mirrorless camera body. To be more specific, I used the Carl Zeiss Sienna Fancolor 50mm f1.8 and I applied it on my Sony a6600 using a simple adapter ring. In this video, I would like to explore what are the benefits of using a vintage lens on a modern camera. The very first one that comes to mind is, of course, the price tag. Vintage lenses are extremely cheap. You can buy very good ones for 20 or 30 euros, and you can find them on online shops or the bigger camera shops or even flea markets, why not? Not to mention all of the camera gear that you can find in the attic. All of those old lenses that your parents or grandparents were using, they might still be up there somewhere. And deciding to go for a vintage lens is not only budget friendly, but gives you many more possibilities, especially if you are a mirrorless shooter, because let's face it, lenses for mirrorless cameras are not so many as for DSLR cameras. The selection is very limited, and by means of a cheap adapter you can really increase the arsenal of your lenses if you decide to go out and buy vintage. The second perk of shooting with a vintage lens is the craft process. Modern lenses can be controlled directly from the camera body by means of the buttons and electronic connections that allow the camera to communicate with the lens. And when it comes to vintage lenses, you can forget about it. Everything happens manually on the lens itself. And specifically, focus needs to be adjusted manually and aperture needs to be adjusted manually. But this by no means something negative, because it really allows you to get to know the camera and how it works, and the lens and how it works. And by fidgeting and fiddling with all of the gears and dials and buttons, you are like an artisan. You are the full, complete owner of the image that you're producing. Perk number 3 is about little defects of vintage lenses, and this one is probably my favorite. All those filters that you can apply on Instagram, for instance, are built in a vintage lens due to the coating on the glass or the way that the lens was produced. And I'm referring to the chromatic aberration and vignetting and those very specific tints that are predominant in the image, and they vary from lens to lens. They can be more on the yellowish side or on the purplish side, or the flare if there are some reflections or sunbeams included in the image. And this low contrast of colors and the soft edges. And with the modern lenses, all of those effects are achievable just either after a lot of post-processing in Lightroom or by applying a preset filter. And with a vintage lens, it's just part of it, and that's true, you would need to work a bit to get rid of it, but why would you? It's so artistic after all. And I'm talking by personal experience here. Those days that I was feeling a bit in a creative rut and a bit demotivated, I found it very useful to go out and experiment with the vintage lens. First of all, because it was something new that I didn't try before, and it was sparkling some curiosity. And as I was shooting, the creativity started to get back because of the manual handling of the lens and because of the special effects that we just mentioned. And seeing how the final product was shot after shot and not knowing how it would end up being because I didn't have so much experience with it yet. Those were all little elements that helped my creativity get back on track. Finally, using a vintage lens helps you slow down. Mainly because there is really no other choice. You have to set everything manually, so you have to take your time to nail the focus and the aperture. But apart from that, I really noticed that while I was using it, I was paying more attention to my actions. I was really focusing on every single step. And I believe that it made me become more purposeful, not necessarily better, but more completely absorbed in the action. Thank you so much for watching, hope you enjoyed the video, and see you around next time. Bye!